Hello guys and welcome back. So for today's video we're going to do a quick standard deck tech update for the Golgari or the Golgari Aggro. And here we have this deck from our card pool, MTG Iloilo, and we're going to see what will be our card choices and discuss each particular specific or maybe relevant components of this deck, as well as sideboarding later on. And so we're going to divide this first with the creature choices. Of course, we're going to see how this deck has somewhat evolved for the metagame updating and sort of also adjusted its core strategy. But anyway, if you are yet new for this channel, we're going welcome you guys as we do some deck tech discussion, as well as other setup for this channel. And if you check on the previous video, we've seen that they've also have some gameplays for arena, specifically for the standard and other new formats from the set. And going back to this topic, here is our main deck of how it would look like pre-sideboarded. So you can see we have 8 2-drops. For the 3-drops we have basically 9 or 10. They have yes, that's 10. 4 drops, and the rest are basically composed of these planeswalkers and several spot removals and utility cards. So starting off, the new components, of course, as you can notice in the front line, are the copies of Deep Cavern Bat. So this is now a staple card component of the deck because of its 2-drop. Can basically check out your opponent's hand, exile a non-card until it the Cavern Bat leaves the battlefield, and also the lifelink ability, which also be really relevant in this kind of setup, since we would need also to gain life against other aggro decks. So having also evasion is also crucial, so that basically you're picking off early damage. And that with this setup, we have the default Mosswood Red Knight. So this card is basically one of the best 2-drop. Particularly I've considered it as one of the best in the current standard format, because of its ability that can basically regenerate or cast from the graveyard for its adventure, gaining your card advantage, also losing 1 life. But with the bat in your play in this lineup, you will basically just gain life out of that life loss and get the value of the card draw. So make sure that we have a consistent 2-drop. So we have 4 of these basically in the main deck. So that's for the 2-drops. And then the new inclusion, of course, from the Lost Covers of Ixalan are the 4 copies of Sentinel of the Nemesis City and 2 copies of Preacher the Schism. So Sentinel is basically a good creature that can be hit by any -3/-3 or 3 damage and below, because of the 3 for power toughness. It has ability also that can create map tokens for having to pump your other creatures, and also drawing off your extra lands, and also being vigilant. And having vigilance also can also protect you from other counter attacks. So make sure we have 4 of these in the main deck. Now for the other 3-drop, which is Preacher the Schism, it has a specific function. So this is when it's attacking a player with the most life or tied for the most life, you'll create a token with a vampire creature with lifelink. Then if you would attack while you have the most life, you will draw a card and lose 1 life. So either way of most card advantage or board advantage, that will depend on the life total of your opponent, or whose life is bigger. But nevertheless, both of these card advantage are very crucial and relevant. And not to mention, this is also depth touch, and can also trade off with bigger creatures. Now for other utility card, the lone copy of Lord Skeeter, which can also generate an army of its own while also exiling cards from your opponent's graveyard. We have also, of course, the utility and very efficient Lisa Sunslayer, which can depth touch and lifelink and can destroy enchantments, also draw your card and lose 1 life. So basically, most of your 3-drops are good in giving you board advantage and card advantage at the same time. And for the 2 drops, we have considered a lone copy of Shouldered Apocalypse, since this would still be really relevant in matchups, especially with Desperafin. If it gets to live, it can punish off their cardio effects and also can nullify their Shrouded in case that they have also Shrouded in their battlefield. And of course, Blossoming Tortoise, as well as can also have your land creatures. Since the deck has 6 man lands, you can have them +1/+1, and also this wheeling out of 3 cards and returning another card, which is basically a ramp kind of effect to your deck, as well as having also a 3/3 body and having your man lands cheaper to cast, or cheaper to activate rather. Now for the creatures removals, basically we have a lot of utility variants here. So for the early spot removals, you can consider this one Virtue of Persistence, Go for the Throat, and Cut Down, as well as Tears Under, and in certain situations that you can exile a artifact or enchantment. This is also crucial. And then for the late game, you can cast this for the adventure to have this one to return for a target creature card from a graveyard into the battlefield under your control. And also we have a lone copy of VC's Command. So what I'd like of this card is a very useful utility mid-game up to the late game. So it one put +1/+1 counters if needed. You can have them gain life or lifelink until the end of turn. You can also sacrifice a huge creature from your opponent. It can basically return 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then to also destroy tokens or destroy each creature with power 2 or less. So very efficient in dealing with most of the situations or board situations against the current metagame. And so the Planeswalkers also would be very useful here. We have 2 copies of Lians of the Veil, sort of also utility discarder per se, and a copy of Lisa, Ascended Admin Mist, so you can see her in the glory of the foil, that she can basically +1 and create this army of green Phyrexian horror, like where X is the number of loyalty for Nisa, and also can destroy artifact or enchantments for the -1. And in instance, you can also -7 for all the ultimate ability or the ultimate effect for the Nisa. Now last but not the least, before check on the sideboard, are your land choices. So again, I mentioned we have 6 man lands. So we have here 4 Restless Cottage, 2 Mishra's Foundry, whereas the rest are just for the mana fix, Lunar Waste, Deathcap Glade also 4 copies, Abushidu for the channel land, and Takiduma, and of course the basics, since we are still having a lot of basic lands here. We have 6 swamps and 4 forests, and the total of these lands are basically going with 26. So for a certain aggro deck, that's quite high, that number. But nevertheless, this is very important also as the deck, how it would function with these card choices. Now for the sideboard, just a quick view, and I think we might have some slight changes on this after this recording, but nevertheless, it won't not really affect much of the main strategy. So we have 2 Breach the Multiverse against Domain Ramp, basically. Shortest Edict for also for mid-range matchups, or if you need additional removal. Triangle Fieldback, very efficient against aggro, can also deal with the graveyard shenanigans, and also destroys artifact or enchantments, particularly the Leyland's Binding and Wedding Announcement. And we also have additional tiers under the sideboard for utility spot removal. Our choices here of the discard are 2 Duress and a Pilfer, but I think you can also add a 3rd Duress for this one, of course for mid-range and control matchups, and 2 Phyrexian Arena for a gas, of course for the slow blue black control, expert control matchup, and then removal Better Triumph as a solid removal that can also destroy Planeswalkers, and Glistening Deluge specifically against this is for the tokens, boros, and humans. Also humans Parasitic Grasp and Obstinate Ballot for Mirror with Liliana, also can be used for mono red and also for other decks that you might need more creatures cast against them. So I guess that's pretty much it for this deck. We have Golgari Aggro per se of this kind of build, but I like this one because of the particular power of these cards, not only for attacking off your opponent, but also having to give you card advantage, board advantage, and also maintaining that you can still be very resilient in a mid game up to the late game. So I guess that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for checking out this one. If you like this kind of deck tech video and we'll have more in the future, just click like and subscribe, notifications on, so we can have instant updates as long as the new videos uploaded on my channel. Thank you guys for checking this one, and see you on the next video.